My name is Mike Cohen. I'm the owner of MC Fitness Performance and Training down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So on top of being a business owner, I deal with high-level athletes, personal training clients, and everything few and far in between, from young developmental youth kids to people that are rehabbing to your everyday weekend warriors. Had a couple UFC fighters like Vinny and some golfers and a bunch of pickleballers apparently. Actually, his stepbrother or brother, Scotty, lives down here. And Scotty's a really good friend of mine. I consider him a brother. And I was going through a really, really, really tough time in my life, kind of a little dark at the same time. And he was helping me out. And then he introduced me to Vin. I think Vin flew down here and I met him. He walked in the gym and I was like, dude's a little scary, but then he's a big teddy bear. So from that day on, I went to dinner with him and Scotty, and we kind of talked about like where I'm at and where I want to go and the challenges that I'm facing and kind of what I want to get rid of. And then after that, we've just been, I think it's almost been 2 or 3 years actually. We've been working together, and then sometimes he flies over here. I guess the cat's out of the bag now, but I'm gonna try and fly over there and surprise him one of these days. But yeah, he's a dope dude, man. He's helped me out a lot. Sometimes it's 1 to 2 to 3 times a week, depending on like the season that I'm in and what I'm going through. But yeah, we've been working together for at least 2 to 3 years that I can remember. I was in a really dark place in my relationship with my girlfriend, my owning a business. Obviously, I've never owned a business before. So, you know, the financial side, the accountability side, learning how to manage people, dealing with stress, so everything few and far in between. Uh, I guess you could say a lot of the things that I struggled with was like confidence. Um, and that kind of goes into a lot of other like avenues when it comes to like relationships, handling conflict. I was a very angry person. So dealing with that aspect, and him just giving me a lot of tools to be a better person in life, a better friend, a better business owner. Unfortunately, I'm single now, but a better partner when I meet her. And then we kind of started touching on faith too. So, a lot of things kind of they intertwine, but they're also completely different. So I can't say like just one thing, but he kind of like what we talked about is we're gonna create a big blue avatar and be the best version of Mike. And you know, yeah, it was pretty cool. It's actually really, really fucking cool. Working with Vinny, I told him from the beginning, I was like, listen, I'm not one to deal with therapy or call it integrative mindset coaching or whatever. So if you're gonna do this hippie, granola, crunchy spirit shit, it. I mean, there's a time and a place for it, but I don't necessarily want that or need that. I need tools and I need structure in my life to, propel me forward, pull my head out of my ass, and kind of keep me out of trouble. Um, so at first, I was a little bit, my heart was hard. So I was kind of like a little bit like, I would say like I just didn't want to take accountability in my actions. I wanted to blame it on everybody else. I lacked accountability on top of the confidence and everything else. And I think I was at such a low point in my life that I was like, bro, fuck it. If nothing changes, nothing changes. I might as well like talk to this dude and hear him out. And I think what related to me, well, if I didn't meet him in person, I probably would have said, fuck this guy. But honestly, but like when we went to dinner and he kind of told me about his struggles and where he's at, and it's relatable because like we own gyms, we're both tatted up. We're kind of strict and disciplined, but we're also kind of like teddy bears. And then he's more that missing piece that I had in my life. So like growing up through my entire life, I've always played sports at a high level. Uh, team captains and being a team captain, you're always connected to your coach. You're an extension of the coach.
I
So I feel like, when I stopped playing minor league ball and then, I kind of got into powerlifting and bodybuilding and I kind of strayed away from that. I was like, I'm missing discipline and someone to hold me accountable, someone to give me, I wouldn't necessarily say homework, but like structure and discipline, right? And when you're playing sports, you got the coach like chomping down on your ass, like checking you. And when you're kind of going through life, trying to figure this life thing out by yourself and kind of not really being in a church, to have that structure and that guidance from a spiritual standpoint, but just like a life standpoint, he was that bridge that helped me kind of like connect all the missing pieces. Um, there's been times where he's kind of chewed my ass out and and told me what I needed to hear. And there's other been times where he's been like the shoulder for me to cry on. And then there's been other times where, like we just have conversations, and I'll never forget it. Our first session was I told him I wanted peace. I'm tired of this chaos. I'm tired of like everything just like eating me alive and having anxiety and waking up just like I don't even know why I'm angry, but I'm pissed off at the world. And he goes, I want you to tell me what peace is. And I was like, Vinny, I'm 35 years old, bro. I've never experienced peace in my life. I want it, but I couldn't even like exaggerate it to what it looks like. And he goes, well, I'm gonna give you homework. I want you to journal about what you think peace is. And I'm like, all right, well, fuck it. I don't have a journal, so I'm gonna have to go out and buy one. But then, my first insert was peace equals no chaos, no anger, no anxiety. And I didn't even know like how to fake it, like what it sounded like, what it tasted like, where I'm at, what I'm doing, what I'm hearing. And then it was kind of like a fake it till you make it thing. But then now it's more have faith it instead of fake it. So faith it. So speak it kind of into existence and know it's going to be there. And then, that one sentence turned to like 4 or 5 pages because I was more like aware of what I wanted because once you're aware of like what's out there, you're not going to stop at anything from getting it, right? And then that kind of was my slow transition into okay, I know what's available. Now I want it. I'm not going to let anybody disturb my peace. Then there was the whole battle of fuck you, you're not going to disturb my peace, and me being angry to me being like, you know what, it's not worth me being angry, so I'm just going to get walked all over. And then it was having that healthy boundary because it's not conflict and chaos unless you react to it. And that was my biggest struggle was like learning how to address conflict without being a dickhead. Those situations of like every season was there for like you're going to be in that chapter until you learn why you're in that chapter. I was in some chapters longer than I needed to be because I didn't want to have acceptance or you know accountability, or I wanted to be like I didn't want people to feel bad for me, but I also didn't want help. And then I didn't know how to accept love because that was something that I never really experienced growing up. And I thought love was one thing when it was something else. So, um, yeah, Vinny taught me what love is. And then I started kind of like leaning on the church and learning what love is. And then Vinny taught me, a bunch of things that were kind of ass backwards in my life that I never really, no knock on my parents, but like I was kind of taught one way of living when there was a completely different way of like communication, love, respect, all the things, accountability, and all the few and far in between. And they did a good job raising me, but a lot of the conflict comes from my dad. That was a whole nother story for another day. But between how my parents raised me in sports, it was like you can't fail, you can't consult your emotions, you can't you know dwell in it. You just gotta forgive, not even forgive, but more just forget and move forward, right? And like use that anger to fuel you to like do something else, and it would kind of just like knock you off the path. And if you make a mistake, it's never good enough. And I didn't know how to give myself grace, so like it was just a lot of little things that helped shake me to get to where I'm at. But that got me to where I'm at. And if I want to get forward and elevate, I got to kind of leave that at the doorstep and take on a new way of life and a new perspective and a new like mindset shift. And that's where Vinny kind of helped me take that to the next level. And he goes, listen, like that version of Mike is still there, and we can have him come out whenever you need him to. But in order for you to get to the next level, you're gonna have to elevate yourself spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally, the whole 9 yards. So Vin definitely, I can honestly say Vin's been the one person that I've ever actually truly listened to in that capacity and actually got me to pull my head out of my ass in more ways than one. It's worth every penny. It's worth every second that you invest in yourself. Because every one day that goes by is essentially 2 weeks you're adding on to whatever struggle you're on, right? And if not longer, because you try to figure it out with the brain that got you into that situation, and you're not going to get out of that situation with the same brain that you got it in. So sometimes you need that, not even a different perspective, but a mind shift. And you're not going to shift that mind no matter how many Tony Robbins seminars you talk to or whatever, or listen to. So I feel like if you're on the fence about it, I say it's worth every penny. Then kind of like where I'm at right now, pray about it. But it's definitely something that I was on the fence about it. I fought it tooth and nail for 2, 3 months, and now I'm kind of upset with myself that I didn't do it sooner. Not that like everything happens for a reason, right? And when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. But if you're looking for a sign and you see that bald guy with the tattoos popping up, like that's your sign. Yeah, man, he's a dope dude. He knows his stuff, and if he could kind of help fix me and get me out of where I was at, because I was in a bad place. He single-handedly kind of like helped me kind of get out of that really dark situation and kind of put me on that path to even like go into the church and other things too. So yeah, I owe it to him. I will say this, even if you can't afford it, it should be a priority to figure out a way to invest in yourself because it's worth every single penny. I promise you, because you're out here spending money on Starbucks or going out doing whatever that's not benefiting you. And at first I told myself, Vinny, I don't want you to give me a handout. I will find a way to come with the money. And then it was kind of like he kind of through like the problem solving stuff is he helped me figure out a way of like looking at things differently and prioritizing things. And at first, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of like a struggle to afford them. But when you start reprioritizing yourself and you see what's beneficial, not beneficial, and you look at somebody that has the fruit in the tree, not just like through a gym standpoint, but like the marriage and like being a leader, I knew it was something that even if I couldn't afford it, I would figure out a way, whether it was, putting on a credit card or whatever it was. Because when I tell you the stuff that he's taught me is priceless. It's something that you you can go to like all these seminars, read every book. I mean, I hate to compare him to a therapist, but like the stuff that I learned with him is I have not learned anywhere else, right? And like integrative mindset coaching is something that I feel like everybody needs. And I think there's this misconception and narrative about, a lot of it's ego and pride, but I think a lot of it is like it's a tainted industry or word where people think that it's a bad thing to ask for help or like seek it when I feel like everybody should talk to somebody and not just talk to somebody, have somebody that's very well rounded and qualified. If they don't got the money, you better figure it out because it's worth every penny. Take out a loan, do what you got to do. Stop going to Starbucks, stop drinking alcohol, do what you got to do. Because I guarantee you, you're spending the money somewhere else. And if you don't tell it where to go, it's going to find somewhere to go. So that's just my 2 cents.